Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Zoey Deutch is an actor. She sat down with me in Greenwich Village to talk about the work.
So I read this quote that you said. I read the script 3 times over. By the second time, I was reading it out loud. And when I find myself reading a script out loud, I know I'm already preparing. You were talking about this movie, Set It Up. But tell me more about your general process. That sounds like you have a process that was going on. Once you realized you were reading it out loud, I found that so interesting.
I think I read a lot of scripts, and it's hard for me to know if I connect with something or not until the words are actually coming out of my mouth. It's why I think it must be difficult or challenging or maybe sometimes backfires for actors who are only doing movies that they get offered because they like a part, but doesn't mean that they're right for it. Doesn't mean that they actually connect to it just because they like it or it seems challenging. That's why it's such an important element of the process is to audition and to read it out loud and to see if you actually are right for it. Not just you like it, but are you right for it? And I have found in the past that when I'm reading a script and I start to read it out loud, just as I'm reading along, that tends to mean, for me at least, that I'm really excited about it and I want to get it on its feet. And it's almost like instinct kicking in rather than it's my intuition telling me, oh no, these words want to travel through your mouth.
It's almost like you're auditioning yourself for the part.
Yeah. I mean, for this movie, I auditioned actually quite a bit. And I think a lot of people, their assumptions when I did this movie because they just heard it was a rom-com or that it was offered to me or that, whatever my friends thought when they first told me. But I auditioned for this 5 times. I fought really hard for this part. I think for me, it felt like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be able to do a romantic comedy, a through-and-through classic rom-com, updated, smarter, funnier than the average that I have seen in the last some years. So I fought hard. I wanted this part really badly.
What is wrong with these people are living on another planet that were auditioning you? You're like the greatest young actor of our time.
It's funny. You're so sweet. But what's funny is yesterday I was doing press. Doing press all day, and I got home. I had 20 minutes, and I got a call from my agent, and there were 2 movies that I had been auditioning for the last 4 months, or one was like 3 months, and one was 4, and both of them were just like, no, you didn't get them, and I'm so used to rejection. It's a part of every single minute of every single day of my life. But both of them, the directors were. I lost both those jobs because I came into the rooms too prepared. And it's such an interesting thing for someone who, call me type A, call me too detail-oriented, call me whatever you want, but for me, it has to be about process, not outcome. It has to be about the work that you put into it. The idea of me going into a room and auditioning for someone and just winging it is fucking insane to me. But that's my world that I exist in, and I know that everybody's process is different. But and I respect these 2 directors a lot, and of course I went into it and I was like, well, is it because they feel like I wasn't free enough? And they were like, well, no, that's not it, because half the audition was improv based. And I was like, okay, well, did they feel threatened, or did they feel like they wanted to collaborate more on the character instead of an actor coming in and having a character? Like, what was it? Like, I need to, so that I can, because you get so much rejection, but you want to at least. If you're going to hear no, and what else? How can I learn something from this experience? And it was tricky yesterday. I got really upset. I got emotional because it was just no for no's sake, and I couldn't figure out a way I couldn't find a silver lining, and I couldn't figure out what to learn from it, because I'm not going to lose the thing that I'm most proud of, which is how hard I work. I don't want to lose that for the sake of coming in and seeming like I'm like, oh, I'm such a free-spirited. That's not me. That's not the kind of actor you're going to get. I am improv trained, but I remember when I made this movie with Glen, Everybody Wants Some, which is like Linklater. I remember I thought I was going to come in that audition room and I was going to get it because I was going to do all my improv, and all of his movies were obviously improv because it just felt so natural. Cut to, that was the most rehearsal intensive process I've ever been a part of. Every word that you see on that movie was on the page. He makes the words feel like yours so you don't have to travel or wander past the page. So I actually think in a lot of ways, in order to be more free and more improv-y and loosey-goosey, you actually have to do even more work.
What do you need to do what you do? Like, what do you need from a director? What is your ideal input from a director in a general way? What works for you the best?
I would like to consider myself a malleable actor. I think there are, I think I'm fine with tough love. I'm fine with a little bit of, criticism that doesn't really get to me. If it's ego, it hurts me. But if it's really for the actual performance, then I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You can say whatever you want. But I feel like I made this movie with Rai Russo Young called Before I Fall, and I made this movie called Flower with Max Winkler, and those two directors are some of my dearest friends, and I was a part of so much of the beginning stages, the pre-production stages, of down to what kind of floss my character would use, and how she sits in a chair, and how she eats her eggs. All those silly things that sound pretentious when you talk about them, they never made me feel silly or pretentious when we talked about them. They embraced all ideas, thoughts, notions, concerns, insecurities, vulnerability, fear of vulnerability, and I enjoy that. I really do. I like to work with a director hands-on and be really close, especially if I am the lead. I want to be embedded in every decision and be a part of everything. It's fun because, again, like I always say, process not outcome. Process not outcome. You care about the out. If you're worried about the outcome, the process is going to be completely
suffered,
diluted. Yeah. It's not the.
What about rehearsal? Like, do you need and want rehearsal?
I'm good with either. We have time and money and the luxury of rehearsal. Amazing. We don't? Fine. We'll make it work. It'll be great. I do think the work suffers when, like, a lot of the times on the day, you'll go through the works, then go to set, do rehearsal, and then they'll light right there and shoot right there. That's really difficult. The ideal situation is you get to set, you do rehearsal, then while they're lighting, you go to hair and makeup, and then you shoot. But because then you get a chance to process the information, you get to process your environment, you get to process, like, the worst thing for me in the world is when, and I totally understand because the powers that be and the circumstances are always, there's so many moving parts and variables, but when your character is supposed to be, making lunch in her kitchen, and you never get to see that kitchen, and you're supposed to be in that space, and no one knows everyone knows your kitchen, like, you could walk
everything,
completely eyes shut, and you would be able to know where the fork is, the thing, so those sort of environments, that choreography, I feel like, is so vital to the character and the scene, and it's really, really stressful to me when I don't get a chance to be in the space before I'm in the space.
So set it up. The pizza scene. This scene, by the way, it's hilarious. Like, I'm laughing all the way through, but then I wasn't even prepared for this scene. And then there's miracles that happen in it. I have no idea how you did it, but I had like a memory that I didn't have. Like, I felt like I was there. I felt like I was him with somebody in my past, but it never happened. You're doing it with just looks. I've seen it in even other movies you've done. The camera's on you, you're not even talking. And I'm feeling something that I just don't feel from other actors, other performers. I'm a filmmaker myself, so I'm so behind the curtain, nothing really surprises me. And when a performance surprises me or gets me to feel that, I'm like, how is she doing that?
I'm not sure I know how to articulate it or know exactly what that thing, I guess, that you're talking about is, but it's a really wonderful compliment, and I don't take it lightly, especially given that you are a filmmaker and you know how difficult and weird the actual act of making a movie or show or short or music video or whatever it is. I treat everything the same. I do. Here's the thing that and it kind of harkens back to what I was saying before, which and I don't mean to take myself too seriously, because I do make quite a few comedies, and but I also do drama. But I pretty much treat everything with the same respect as the next. I don't look at one thing, even with auditions. If it's a movie that is going to be made for $200,000 and with a first-time feature director, I respect the well-written word and the material. I treat that audition the same way that I do for a Marvel movie. And in a lot of ways, I might be shooting myself in the foot sometimes, because I don't see the process being different just because it's a comedy or drama, or just because it's a big budget movie or a small budget movie, or because I'm this or that. It is all equally important, and the work needs to service the greater good of the bigger picture, which is the movie, which is the story, which is the feelings that you're trying to share, give with the audience. The pizza scene, I wish I had fond memories. I ate 4 pizzas, which is my own damn fucking fault. Sorry, can I curse?
Yeah.
I ate 4 pizzas and I threw up. And poor Glen is like, I'm trying to have like this romantic moment with him. And he had his gluten-free pizza, and he had like 1 bite of his gluten-free pizza, and I had 4 from where did I order it from? Maybe Bleecker Street Pizza? Or was it Joe's? It was Joe's. I ordered it from Joe's because I was like, if I'm gonna have 4 pizzas, I'm gonna eat some good pizza.
Yeah.
And so I threw up, as one does when you have 4 pizzas.
This is even more amazing then, that you're in this place physically where you're literally sick, and you're able to pull this off. Look, most romantic comedies have that scene, have what that scene needs to do happen. This is why it's a miracle. I know that scene's coming. I know it's got to happen. But for it to happen in that way, for a cynical person like me, you cannot find a more cynical person to be. I
just pointed to myself and said me. It definitely helps that Glen and I have been trying to find a smart, updated romantic comedy to do together for 3 years, because we both don't have that kind of chemistry that we have with each other with a lot of other people. And we really, really felt strongly that we wanted to make a movie that was going to make people feel good. Shit is rough right now.
Yeah.
People want to laugh and escape and feel good, and that's what this movie does, I think.
What do you need on a set? Like, do you like the party atmosphere on a set, or do you need quiet?
I don't really want to tell anybody how to exist on a set. For me, I don't. What's the way of saying this? Like, for instance, for this movie, for Set It Up, I thought it was awesome. I have no idea how he does it. Glen is always around people. He's always lively. He's always with his friends or his family, or going out, or like hanging out. I put out a lot, and I'm not always the best at gauging when I'm putting out too much. Sometimes I'll get really energetic and I'll just like, and then I need time to like recharge. I need to go in again, and it can be really challenging because there's sometimes just physically not any space to do that. But what's most important to me is that everybody. Sets are so weird, and there's such a weird hierarchy and such an uncomfortable, sometimes an uncomfortability. And I know when I haven't been the lead, I do feel like it comes from it trickles down. And when the director or your leads are inclusive and loving and continue to emphasize that this is a collaborative art form, those are the best sets to be on. I loved working with Bryan Cranston. I think it was one of the great gifts of my life as a young actor, and I think if I could wish anything for young actors, it would be to be able to work with Bryan, because he is so humble, he is so generous, he is so thoughtful, and I learned so much about holding court and running a set from him. So when I am the lead of a movie, I don't take that lightly. I think it's important that you create a safe space, a collaborative space, a space where the PA feels like they're worthy, because they are. You know, I feel like I've been on a lot of sets where actors are, I get bummed when there are actors that feed into the reputation that I think a lot of people think all actors have. So I have a hard time, because people go, their first question a lot of the times when they ask me how was the movie, was it fun? I'm like, well, it's my job. My stipulation for making a movie is not, I don't want it to be fun. I don't go into something being like, I'm not going out with like, to me, fun is like having a nice Italian dinner with my friends and my family. Like, that's fun. Like, work should be work, and it should be fulfilling, and it should be inspiring, but it by no means has to be fun. But this was fun. This is really fun. Katie Silverman, the writer, and Glenn and Claire, they made it fun, and it was fun, and I think it translates, and I think it feels exactly like what we wanted it to feel like, an updated, fun, loving romantic comedy, which is, I'm excited about, because who knows if I'll ever get to do one again. Bucket list.
You make so many brave choices, like especially in the movie you did with your mom and your sister, The Year of Spectacular Man, but even in Set It Up. I mean, I don't see these choices in other performers. They're not, like, and some of them don't land totally right, but I love those more than most people's ones that land. And why? And what gives you the bravery to make those choices? I'm happy that the filmmakers know what you're doing and allow it to be in. But tell me what fed this?
I mean, the truth is, I feel like I'm at my best when I'm scrambling. I don't know what to do here. What do I do there? And then I just do nothing. That's when I'm at my best, is when I can really do nothing. I know that seems silly, but it's the same idea of, work, prepare, just to let it go. But especially I feel like in comedy, which I think is one of the hardest art forms. I don't know how, people like Will Ferrell, people like Amy Poehler, I think it's one of the most incredible art forms, is truly being able to make someone laugh, because laughter comes from surprise. How do you materialize or artificially replicate surprise? It's the same reason why I think right now we're in such a phase of people loving horror so much. Fear and humor are actually come from, to me, I feel like they're coming from the same places. Surprise. When you're really scared, you're surprised that you're scared. And when you're really laughing, you're surprised that you're really laughing.
Yeah.
So I feel like comedy is just truly difficult. And when I can do nothing, and when I can really just be there, that's when I'm my best. It takes a lot for me to get there.
I want you to talk about your mom, Leah Thompson. I just interviewed her yesterday. I've always been a fan, but I didn't realize she has this. She has so much wisdom that is really special, and I felt like a love from her, and like I used the word curiosity before, like a curiosity of people, which I think is so special for this work. And it feels like she instilled that in you. But can you just talk about her a little bit, like how she fed the actor in you?
She's a pretty remarkable human being, and I think a lot of people feel that way about their mothers. I totally, I get it. But I think she's very passionately curious. She is very open. There's a real strength in her vulnerability, and that's something that I'm really grateful that I got to witness. And I think I have no idea what it's like to be a parent. Are you a parent?
No.
I have no idea what it's like to be a parent. I think it's an insane task, but she is the type of parent who doesn't tell you to do something unless she too exemplifies it. She shows, she doesn't tell. She really leads by example, which to me is at the core of what a true leader is somebody who leads by example. And she operates out of love, really, truly. She operates out of love, which I think, I mean, what more can you ask for out of a human being? But you know what the good news is whenever I feel like I'm operating out of fear, which is really the worst place to be in as an artist. It's not an open space. When I really feel like when I'm operating in a fear, I remember I'm here for the long run. I'm here for longevity. I'm here till I'm however old I get to live. So no rush. There's a real gift. I mean, there is a saying like, what is it? It's like rejection's God's protection. And I have a lot of gratitude to whatever is bigger and greater out there that, you know, keeps things the way that they are. I'm in a lot of ways in the moment it can feel like, wow, really? Okay. But when I step back, I want to be here for a long time. I don't want to like blow my load and be in a bunch of big movies that, you know, that are huge. And I think in a lot of ways, sure, I am actually a little bit more afraid of success than I am of failure, because when with failure comes, things kind of stay this, you know. But I would be remiss if I didn't admit that. But I'm stoked to be here for the long run. You know, I'm stoked to continue to make things and grow and move and do small parts and big parts and comedies and dramas and westerns and musicals, and I want to play a villain and I want to do voiceovers, and I would love to do a silent film short. I want to do it all, and I want to confuse people, and I want to continue to go left and right and forward and back and left and right and forward and back. And I think the real growth as an artist is during the bad times, not the good times anyway. So
I'm really excited about your career, so don't die. We need you.
That's the best way to end a podcast ever. Don't die, we need you. Okay, I love that.
Zoey Deutch, thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Maestro.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of IFP, the Independent Filmmaker Project.